Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Gained Ashura's Memories, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. 2 days after the revelation, Team 13 made their way into the arena, where the finals were to be held. The entire place was loud and full of life, even more foreigners and nobles swarming the already packed streets of the village. As they walked in, the other finalists eyed them with no small amount of wariness. Still, there was one person, whom they sought. Gaara. The redhead's eyes were shining with the madness induced by Shukaku's power. We have to do something about Shukaku. That's no way to treat his Jinchuriki. Naruto murmured, as they took their places on the sidelines. Not everyone are like you boys. Kakashi said. And they are certainly not like you, Naruto. There are 3 clans, whose skill and powers allowed them to subdue our 9 siblings. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Yes, mine and Ototo's kin, and even among them, only a few were powerful and skilled enough. You need not remind us of that. However, mistreating their hosts in such a way is not something our siblings should be doing, either. He looked at Naruto. We'll deal with them later, okay? I welcome all participants to the final round of the Chunin exams. The Hokage stood, looking down at him from his spot in the private booth. It was not exactly Anna's thing to do, but they tuned out the village leader, studying Gaara and wondering how to stop him from losing his head, because a wrong move and he would lose his head. Releasing Shukaku and the Tanuki tampering in the middle of their village was not Anna's scenario, even to imagine, much less live trough. Luckily, and unknown to anyone, but Kakashi and Yamato, both of them had enough chakra to suppress Shukaku, if must. But that was not a skill they would reveal any time soon. With the speech done, a brown-haired Jonin stepped forwards, munching on Asenban. Who munched on Senban Forfen. Let the first round begin. I call the 2 combatants, Hyuga Neji and Senju Uzumaki Naruto. Remember how Byakugan works, Sasuke murmured, as the arena was loud with shocked cries and restless people at hearing the name Senju. Naruto nodded with a small roll of his eyes. Of course, Ni-sama. Unlike you, used to fight against Mitra-chan. Not to mention we had both seen Hinata fight in the academy and had been mathsed against her, as well. Besides, ik know how to unlock my tenketsu, if he closes Afu. Heshunshin down into the arena and stood on Genma's right, taking his fighting stance. Neji gave him a cold look. It was almost like Indra's after Zetsu had taken hold of him, with those dark whispers. It was the same look, only in different eyes. In pale, silvery eyes instead of brown ones. Ready to lose. Fate has already declared me the winner anyway. You may be a Senju, but don't think I didn't know you were among the last ones in your class. You just barely passed. Naruto met Neji's gaze without blinking. Every single person are free to shape their will. They may be loners or ones, who have friends, it's all based on our own decisions. The proctor lowered his hand and glanced at them. Get ready. Neji took Thejukan stance and Naruto took his own. Hajime. Genma called as he leapt back, giving them more space. The Hyuga was the first one to attack, as he activated his dojutsu. Naruto waited and allowed him to strike. As the chakra-laced hands got near, the blonde raised his own hands, reinforcing them with chakra and batting away each strike. You're fast, Naruto commented with a smile, but not fast enough. Neji growled. Am I not? We'll see. He leapt back and took his Juken stance. Naruto surprised him by leaping forwards, pulling his fist back. Neji moved to defend, only for the fist to strike the ground and break it under their feet. Neji flipped midair and Naruto jumped onto a piece of earth to reach the older genin. Neji expected it and stopped his move, trying to strike him. However, Naruto dodged both strikes and flipped the Hyuga over his shoulder. He landed in a crouch and he sensed Neji approaching and he s his hand on the ground. Doton, Tsushinami no Jutsu. Earth release, earth wave technique. The earth moved under their feet, forcing Neji to put further distance between them. Naruto stopped for a moment with a smile. Meanwhile in the stands, everyone was watching curiously. He managed to counter Neji's strikes. How? Tenten asked. Sasuke smiled. That's the problem with strict clan style. It's readable to anyone with common sense. No need for any sort of dojutsu. And now, there's a distance between them. Your teammate is a close-range fighter, like every Hyuga. Ototo on the other hand, prefers long to mid-range. It's over. Everyone's eyes turned back to the fight, curious how Neji would deal with the situation now. Naruto raised his hand in a tiger. Suten, Teppadama. Water release, gunshot. The water shot from his mouth, right at Neji, but the Hyuga was also prepared. Kaiten, Ruka no Jutsu. Fire release, dragon fire technique Neji called. The two jutsu collided, cancelling each other out, leaving thick steam in their wake. Alter, the steam didn't hinder either of the combatants, so Naruto shot forwards to close in on the older. Using another chakra-enhanced punch, he ruined even more of the arena floor, forcing Neji to jump upwards. Seeing the Hyuga right where he wanted the other to be, he grinned and molded his chakra for the next move. Futon, Kiru Ranbu. Wind release, air current wild dance. The chakra spread to create wild currents of wind, which the blonde used to toss his opponent to the ground with great force. Even before Neji had Akans to stand up, Naruto used Ashunshin to get to him in time and pointed Akanai, crackling with small lightning above the older's heart. I win, he said with a smile, causing Neji to frown. Fate predetermines things out of human control, like who our parents are or what clans are we born into. Or perhaps, if we will wield our clan's Kekkei Genkai, or not. What we make of what life has given us, is a question of determination, skill and of all. Even if others state that you will not achieve something, even then, you can prove them wrong. Even if they limit you, prove them, that despite limitations, you can forge your own path and gain your own power. But remember to use that power you gain for something good, he murmured quietly, so only Neji would hear. Shosha, Senju Uzumaki Naruto. Genma declared to the deathly quiet arena. Sasuke smiled, as the blonde finally arrived. Nice match, Ototo. What did you tell him? He asked. He was crowing to me about fate. Naruto murmured sarcastically. Sasuke snorted in amusement. Oh, sweet Shinju. Only if he knew what behave to say about fate. Naruto laughed softly, moving closer to stand by him. Indeed, Nisama, indeed. Why, what do you have to say about it? Asked Yamato, blinking in confusion. Both Chunin candidates rolled their eyes at that. No human, no matter how powerful, should live more than once. Naruto murmured. It's a law of nature. We defied those laws by clinging to our beliefs for so long and so strongly. Reincarnation is not normal. We denied our fate by it, or perhaps we are denying our fatano. By remembering and working not to make the same mistakes. So, no matter how impossible it seems, we can take our own fates into our hands. Sasuke said. Next match, Sabaku Kankuro against Aberrane Shino. The proctor announced, breaking the brothers' train of thought. The gazes shifted over to the Suna shinobi, eyes lingering on Gaara for a second, before it settled on the cat-suited bastard, whom they caught bullying Konohamaru. The Suna nin studied Shino for a long moment, before he stepped forward and looked at Genma. I forfeit, proctor. The stadium was suddenly loud with disapproving boos and everyone raised an eyebrow at the three Suna siblings. Neither the girl, nor Gaara seemed all too concerned about their brothers. Winner by forfeit, Aberrane Shino. Then, Genma's gaze swept the place before he spoke again. Next match, Sabaku no Gaara vs Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto hummed and gave his brother a look. Careful with Shukaku. Gaara will be faster than most. Sasuke hummed, as they bumped fists. Don't worry, Ototo, I will come out of there alive and if we're lucky I might even manage to beat some sense into our crazed Tanuki brother. Gaara appeared down in the arena, his eerie pale green eyes settling on Sasuke right away. Sasuke matched the redhead's bee-chilling gaze without a twitch. Slowly thirsty grin formed on the Suna Jinchuriki's face and he released a wave of K intent. Here I come, Shukaku, the Sharingan user murmured. Sasuke walked slowly to the arena, continuously releasing more of his chakra and K intent to match the Suna Jinchuriki. He could already hear soft thuds here and there and some people muttering about notwithstanding the pressure. The redhead was eyeing him with a mix of wariness and B. The proctor looked actually uneasy, as he stepped between them, ready to start the match. You. Gaara growled. Sasuke smirked. Hello, Ichibi. As he said those words, the proctor threw an unsure look at Gaara. Gaara's eyes narrowed and he walked farther from Genma. As Sasuke turned to do the same, he looked at the Jonin. Unstable seal. Be ready to flee, Shiranui-san, he muttered lowly, before taking a few steps away from the man. The Jonin threw him a shocked look, before glancing at Gaara again. Sabaku no Gaara vs Uchiha Sasuke, he announced again, Hajime. Sasuke sighed and the moment Genma leapt away, he released his chakra, raising his hand to focus chakra. Fighting a Biju or Jinchuriki, or both at once maybe. Shukaku seemed as mad, as Gaara was not something he could take lightly. He had his memories and had trained relentlessly with Naruto since the beginning, but they still had limits. Limits there, where in their previous life they didn't exist. Better finish this fast. Ninshu, Shiroi Hono. Ninja Creed, White Flames, he murmured. When he felt the shift in his chakra, he fixed his gaze on the Suna Shinobi, Jutsu at the ready. Shiroi Hono, Gurnka. White Flames, Great Flame Flower. Several great, white flamed fireballs formed above the Sunanin and then, with a wave of the Uchiha's hand, they all dropped down. Meanwhile the others watched in shock. Sasuke-kun's already using those white fireballs. Ino asked. He's strong, that Gaara. Neji said, his Byakugan active. He has high chakra levels. Sasuke is close, but Gaara has even more. Indeed he is. Naruto spoke, drawing the others' attention to himself for a second. And Nisama is very much aware of how dangerous Gaara is. If he holds back, he would end up as badly hurt, as Lee. What are those flames? Hinata asked quietly. The CH chakra. I've never seen such fire before. Naruto's gaze shifted back to the arena, as he watched the fireballs detonate all around the Jinchuriki. The white fire is his signature technique. Something he'd come up with, to counter me. The other genin looked to him. To counter you? Kiba asked. Naruto chuckled. Yes, specifically to counter a group of my jutsu, which I admit, I'm very fond of. He still remembered how much of a headache it was, when he realized his brother's white flames could burn away his chakra-laced wood, where normal fire had failed. It did as lower work than Amaterasu, but it was no less effective, and since Indra hadn't been so limited to using this new form of Kaiten, as he was with Amaterasu, their fights had escalated into new sort of destructive. Sasuke watched with some satisfaction, as the flames sallowed Shukaku's sand, and since these flames used chakra to burn, the sand, which had been laced with his Tanuki brother's chakra, would burn as well. Still, as the white faded, allowing him to see the Sunanin, he noticed with some displeasure, that only a part of the sand had been turned into glass. The crazed grin returned to the redhead's face and he released another wave of K-intent. Mother wants B. Gaara cackled. Throwing his hands forward, he sent a great wave of sand towards him. Oh. F both of my lives. I just pissed him off even more, he thought with a frown, as he pushed chakra into his feet to jump above the sand. He did a few hand seals and released his chakra in a long line of purplish lightning. Raiten, Denki Nagare. Lightning release, electrical flow. He landed several feet away, watching as his lightning ruined the sand. He smiled, his Sharingan blazing. Earth was weak against lightning and the kid was using more earth than wind. He drew his Tanto and channeled his chakra, until the lightning danced restlessly around the metal. Raiten, Denatsugen. Lightning release, voltage blade. His advance was unhindered, as the sand was immobilized. Mangekyo Sharingan, Biju Ayatsu. Kaleidoscope copy wheel eye, tailed beast Kirshin, he muttered. The chakra whirled and he closed his eyes. The downward spiral was more sickening than some of Naruto's chakra-laced punches, and that was saying something, because his brother had enough medical knowledge to purposefully make his opponents sick. Because, surprise, surprise, making people sick was much easier than actually healing them. When Sasuke opened his eyes, he found himself in a dark, cave-like environment, filled with wet sand and the walls and ceiling full of cracks all around him. Speak about crappy seal. What? Where are we? Asked Gaara. Sasuke saw how lost and confused he was. Currently, with his chakra present in the redhead system, Shukaku had no influence over him. Gaara, he called calmly, walking closer. The redhead looked up, studying him. Where are we? And what are you doing here, Uchiha? Sasuke sighed. You have one of the 9 Biju sealed within you. Namely, Shukaku, the Ichibi no Tanki. This is his seal's representation in your mind, and no, for the Shinju Sake, Shukaku is not your mother, so get that straight. He's male, by the way, he said, gesturing at the crappy chains, which held the great tanuki. Gaara looked at the biju. All that time. Alone, and that be. So much be and Thefir. Sasuke moved forward swiftly and grabbed the redhead's shoulder, breaking him away from his dark thoughts. There are others like you. And you are not alone. Gaara looked up at him. Don't you fear me. Or hate me, like others. Sasuke snorted. I've no reason to fear you, nor to hate you. And you've no reason to strike fear into others' hearts. Fear and hate are a vicious cycle. You just need a friend or two to count on. Just a few and you won't ever have to fear things, if you find others to be your friends on the way. All the better. Gaara gave a hesitant nod. And Shukaku. He glanced into the distance, where the tanuki was trashing against his chains. Sasuke sighed. Come. We'll deal with him. Just let me speak first. The redhead nodded and they proceeded to wade trough the wet sand, closer and closer to the tanuki. Gaara watched the great creature with wariness, but Sasuke didn't even twitch. Indra. The tanuki roared angrily, yanking at his restraints, glaring at him, releasing a wave of K intent. Sasuke released some of his chakra to shield Gaara and matched his youngest biju brother's glare without a twitch. Shukaku. He nodded in greeting. The chains creaked loudly, as the tanuki moved. What are you doing here, Tsuki no Urashi? Are you here to S me, as that nameless spawn of yours had done years ago, to Kurama? Not at all, he answered calmly. I'm here to apologize for what had happened years ago, after I left, he said in a quiet tone. It was a mistake. But now both myself and Ashura have a new chance and we would like to set the world straight. We'd like to carry on Oto-sama's legacy. Protect humanity from the one, who had Kurama, for we believe he would come back. He will come back for the 9 of you and to destroy humanity. The tanuki growled. And why should I care for the humans, when they don't care for us? The last one who truly cared, had been Ashura, but he's not. Ototoshia, watching this match, between me and your Jinchuriki. He's watching us and waiting, worried he might have to intervene. And why should I believe your words? The yellow, beastly eyes narrowed. Sasuke sighed. I made mistakes, that cannot be taken back. As had Ashura. I apologize for those mistakes, Nisama, he dipped his head, but tell me, will you hold grudged for lifetimes to come? Or would you accept our offer of peace? Can we be a familians more? Would you help protecting your siblings, or will Ashura and I stand alone against the ones, who want Oba-sama free? And might I add, to free her, your chakra is needed. If she were to be freed, the 9 of you would cease to exist in this form. Shukaku frowned. Let's assume a forge of you for the betrayal, he glared down at Gaara, but why should I aid humans, who imprisoned me? You made mistakes, but you never spoke of imprisoning me. Sasuke winced inwardly. Once, long ago, he had bluntly told Ashura that the biju were dangerous and their cooperation could only be achieved by imprisonment and direct control. But Shukaku didn't need to know that. No. And once more, I apologize for said mistakes. But revenge is a vicious cycle. The humans imprisoned you and you are angry with them. You understand that, he sighed. I know what anger feels like. But you are harming Gaara. As hard as it may be for you to believe, you are safe here. With Gaara inside his seal. If you were free, the man who had caught Kurama would get his hands on you way too easily. The tanuki shifted, yanking at his chains again. But this is worse than any other I've had before. It's so bad that even if I wanted to withhold my chakra from my host, I couldn't. And I can't sleep. Sasuke grunted. I can see that. I'm nowhere proficient, if it comes to fuinjutsu, but even I could do better. It's just a damn storage seal. Modified. The useless little humans think me a kettle. They don't understand we have feelings too. Sasuke sighed and sat down, gesturing for Gaara to do the same. Hesitantly, the redhead did just that. Shukaku, he called sharply. The tanuki froze in his rant and looked down at them. Please, calm down. I will speak with Ashura and he will do something with this seal of yours. If you have to be sealed, and for the time being, for your safety, you must be, then it could at least be comfortable. The tanuki huffled, curling up. I just want some sleep. Sasuke glanced at Gaara. I will speak with Ototo. In the meanwhile, could you please be kinder to Gaara? But Indra. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, his Sharingan taking a sharp turn. Shukaku. The Tanuki ducked his head, cowed by the sharp tone, despite Indra being younger than him. The two humans always had a special place in the Bijuses' hearts, and they listened to them, as they listened to their late father. Fine. I'll try to be nice, he murmured. Sasuke smiled and stood up, walking closer. He placed a hand on the Tanuki, surprising the beast. Then he smiled and leaned his head down too. Thank you, Ni-sama. It's reassuring to know you're not lost to bitterness. The Tanuki rumbled a bit. And it's nice to see you back, being as you were, not so cold and angry. It's nice to be back. Sasuke admitted. I missed you all. Ashura the most, but you too. Gaara cleared his throat. Sasuke shifted to look at the redhead. The Chunin looked totally awkward, looking like he wanted to be anywhere else, but there was also curiosity on his face. How can you be brothers? He asked, making a gesture. Sasuke chuckled. It's a long story. One day, Shukaku may share it with you. Let it be enough for now, that once, long time ago, my name was Otsutsuki Indra. Gaara nodded, studying him. I see. What now? Sasuke shook his head. Nothing. You will remain asleep, as per the workings of the genjutsu, once I'm out of here. They will take it as a knockout, so I will win, he shrugged. Indra. Sasuke glanced back. Yes, Shukaku. Don't do it. Right now your chakra prevents it from happening, but whenever Gaara falls asleep, my seal ceases to hold me and I'm free. The humans from his village want to destroy this village, but if you're here, is this your home? Sasuke's mind whirled with the words. Yes, it's where I and Ototo were born. We were raised here, the village is our kin's legacy. Senju, Uzumaki and Uchiha alike. My father planned an invasion. Gaara said softly. When you wake, the invasion should be underway, even if genjutsu distorts time. I Shukaku. You are the trump card. The ultimate weapon, he said in a dark tone, as it made sense. Yes, Shukaku nodded. If he falls asleep and your chakra ceases to hold both of us, I will be free. Ashura can't redo my seal, if I'm free, can he? Sasuke sighed. No, he can't, but you can warn Kurama and trough him, Ashura. The Tanuki blinked. What? Sasuke huffed. Kurama is sealed in Ashura. His father Inthus life-sealed Kurama into him. The Tanuki roared in frustration, which caused Gaara to flinch. This is so unfair. Why does the Baka Kitsune have all the luck to be with Asura-kun when no one else? Shukaku. Sasuke called, releasing a wave of chakra to get the Tanuki's attention. Language, he glared. And you can still reach out to Kurama. Trough your link, you and Gaara can meet us. Shukaku blinked and calmed down, at those words. True. Sasuke nodded, satisfied with the answer. Warn Ototo and Kurama, please, he commanded, before turning to Gaara. The invasion. I didn't want, father, the redhead choked out, a flash of fear appearing in his eyes. Sasuke shook his head. We'll deal with it. Konoha is strong, but you won't be part of it. Once my chakra fades, my brothers will take hold of you. It will prevent you from transforming or utilizing chakra in any shape or form. Gaara nodded. All right. He wants to K the Hokage, to see your village from the inside. Sasuke nodded. Noted. He gave the redhead a look and then placed a hand on his shoulder. The Biju are our siblings and so are their Jinchuriki. You have people here. We can help, if you need it, people, who understand. Who don't fear the power you have, because we have something similar. Gaara offered a hand to be taken. Sasuke took it and shook hands with the redhead. Thank you, brother. Sasuke's lips twitched into a half smirk. You're welcome, Ototo. Gaara raised an eyebrow and Sasuke's smirk widened further. Shukaku may be older than I am, but you are a younger. The last thing Sasuke saw was a smile on the redhead's face, before his jutsu slipped. Once Sasuke woke, Gaara's body went limp and he felt Shukaku's chakra spike and the red energy formed around the genin. At the same time, feathers started falling from the sky and he saw as several people started falling asleep. There was an explosion from the cage booth and something crumbling in the distance, almost sounding like thunder. Sasuke leapt backwards, away from the redhead, his eyes seeking Naruto. The invasion Gaara and Shukaku spoke of had began. What is Sasuke doing? Murmured Kakashi from the stands, as they watched the Uchiha allow himself to be caught by the sand. He needs eye contact to get into Gaara's seal. Naruto said, his tone equally quiet. Shukaku is still our brother. He would try to speak with him first, to him and Gaara before using force. We don't harm family, not when there is a peaceful alternative. He knew Sasuke would have harder time convincing Shukaku, due to the betrayal during the previous life. Strangely enough, it was Shukaku, who had taken Indra's betrayal the worst, from all the 9. But Naruto had faith. His brother could be convincing, if he tried, and maybe dealing with this unhinged Shukaku, some of Indra's forcefulness wouldn't hurt either. And after all that, Yamato made a gesture at the half-charred arena. He still has enough chakra to deal with a Biju. Naruto shook his head. Indra's reserves had matched mine in our prime. But my chakra had always been denser, so with proper control, it always seemed like I had more. Plus, my stamina was also greater. He preferred quick, strategically destructive clashes. It preferred to drag out mine, to tire my opponent. Kakashi quirked his visible eyebrow. So, does he have enough chakra or not? Naruto sighed. No. Once the genjutsu is over, he will be low on chakra, so he won't be able to fight. But the genjutsu will still have some power, which should hold Shukaku and Gaara, so he will win with a knockout, I suppose. Asura-kun. Kurama called. Yes, Nisama. I just spoke with Shukaku. Indra managed to bring him and his host to our side, so to say. Suna is planning an invasion and they plan on using Shukaku to crush this place and kill the Hokage. Gaara and Shukaku want no part in it, now that they know the truth and we'd actually made up. The moment Gaara falls asleep, Shukaku is free because of the crappy seal. When Indra's genjutsu is over, be ready to hold Shukaku. Oh, and the invasion. It might be messy. Share your chakra with Indra, he'll be down. I'll help you, if needed. Naruto nodded, turning to his senseis. Kashi-sensei, Yamato-sensei, we have a little no-scratch that, a big problem. The 2 Jonin looked at him. And what that would be? Asked Yamato. Naruto inched closer to the 2, lowering his voice even more than before. The Biju have a special way of communication, even if sealed. Shukaku just warned us that Suna planned an invasion. It may start any moment. They want to crush the village politically and economically, too. The 2 looked at each other. Oh, yes. Naruto nodded. Be ready. Any moment now. We'll deal with Shukaku. Help where it's needed. The 2 older shinobi nodded, their eyes stealing over, now fully alert. Naruto walked back to the railing, his eyes narrowed on Sasuke and Gaara, waiting for even the smallest twitch that would indicate the end of the genjutsu. Then, he noticed white feathers fluttering from the sky, and a wave of Kurama's chakra passed the surrounding area, dispelling the illusion. At the same time, something rumbled in the distance, like the walls had been taken down, and a big explosion rocked the cage booth. He hoped the Sandaime was fine. He may not be overly close with the man, but he had been kind, even when he had been younger, and while the secrets of his family had stung, he understood the need for them. Then, Sasuke was back and he leapt away from Gaara, as red chakra rapidly shredded his fellow Jinchuriki. Naruto was already moving, leaping over the rail, as Sasuke's eyes found him. Halfway there he was already done with the hand seals, to contain Shukaku. Mokuton, Kemono no Jinja. Would release, Shrine of the Beast, he stopped, his palm on the ground. A circular platform rose below Gaara, taking the redhead off the ground, and then 6 wooden pillars rose around it, carved with various kanji. He was on his feet in a second, landing next to Sasuke with Ashunshin. Even before more than a clawed arm of Shukaku's was visible, chakra chains shot from his back, wrapping around Gaara, stopping the transformation. He flared his chakra and detached the chains from his back, holding the other end, before tossing them into the air. The chains wrapped around the pillars, stopping Gaara from moving, and as the Mokuton chakra mixed with the heavy adamantine chakra, Shukaku was forced back into the seal. Gaara cried out in pain and Naruto winced, but as his chakra took hold, the redhead looked up. His face was tight with pain, but his eyes were determined to withstand the pain and stop the destruction. When the chakra calmed down, Naruto skipped over to the redhead. Gaara. The Sunanin grunted. I'm fine. Naruto sighed. Gamen. Ishold have warned that it may be painful. Names Senju Uzumaki Naruto. Shukao knows me as Ashura. I'm his youngest brother and also the Jinchuriki of Kyubi no Kurama. Gaara gave a strained smile. Nice to meet you. Naruto smiled. Same here. You'll remain bound here for now. No one will be able to break these, and for now, your chakra control is as good as a newborn's, due to my restraints. Once this mess is over, we'll fix your seal, okay? Yes. Arigato. He stepped back and grabbed Sasuke. You need some backup. He raised his hand in a half-ram. Ninshu, Chakra Kyoyo, Hoju. Ninja Creed, Chakra Sharing, Replenishment. He felt his chakra getting transferred to Sasuke, and in turn, Kurama's chakra filled his body, also sneaking its way into Sasuke's system. Their oldest brother's chakra also helped heal any injuries they may have had. Well, for Sasuke. Naruto was already healed. There was a spike of powerful chakra, forcing them to break the connection, and Naruto's breath hitched, as he looked towards the cage booth. Ni-sama, did you? Yes, let's go. They sprang from their spot, chakra crackling under their skin, as they leapt into the ruined cage booth. They skidded to a sudden halt, when they found a barrier separating them from the Hokage, and in the robes of the Kazekage, they saw a familiarly sinister face. Orochimaru of the Sannin. This Isha's work, F it. Naruto growled. Well, he did say thieves will burn, so he was saying the truth. Cryptically, but he did give a warning. Sasuke murmured. His Sharingan was spinning wildly, studying the barrier. We've to knock out the four, who keep it up. Naruto nodded, raising his hand in a snake seal. Moku Bunshin no Jutsu. Wood clone technique. 4 wood clones grew out from the ground. Naruto made a gesture, wordlessly giving his order to the clones. He watched, as his clones engaged the 4 shinobi, which forced them to pay more attention to the fight, rather than the barrier. Oto. Sasuke called. Naruto's eyes shifted back to the Hokage. There, behind Orochimaru, 3 coffins rose out of the ground. 3 coffins with a number each. Ichi. Ni. Yon. The lids moved and 3D people stepped out from the coffins. People, both of the boys recognized, for the gazes forever watched the village. People, who were Naruto's family. Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama and Senju Namikaze Minato. Bastard. Naruto growled, his anger flaring along with Kurama's chakra. With the 4, who were tasked with keeping the barrier up, occupied, it wasn't so hard for Naruto to break it. Letting some of Kurama's chakra out was all they needed to break the barrier. The brothers shared a look and both of them went trough a set of seals. Kaiten, Hosenka. Fire release, Phoenix Sage Flower. Sasuke spit out several fireballs and Naruto soon followed with his own backup. Futon, Renkuden. Wind release, Drilling Air Bullet. As the high-pressured wind reached the already powerful fireballs, it further increased their potency, coloring the usually orange fire whitish, as they sped towards the Hokages. The 3 resurrected men dodged without too much problem, but it put extra distance between them and the Sandaime. The many eyes fell on the boys, as they arrived next to the Sandaime. Naruto, Sasuke, you shouldn't, the Sandaime called in shock. The boys glared at Orochimaru, before their eyes settled on the 3 Hokage. Not a chance of us leaving. Naruto said sharply. The snake-faced bastard made this personal, when he had the balls to summon me family to fight against Konoha. Deal with the Sandaime-sama. Sasuke said. We'll deal with the Senjus. That. Now. Naruto growled, letting some of Kurama's chakra out again. As he did so, his violet eyes turned to slits, although they kept the natural color. His whiskers also turned more prominent. Is that the Kyubi? Asked the Nadaime, his dark red eyes narrowing. Naruto, the older blonde's blue eyes flickered to Sasuke, too. Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto nodded towards the older blonde. Oto-san. Nice to meet you. Sasuke's lips curled into a half smirk, his Sharingan spinning, as he nodded. Minato-sama. Minato winced. Nah, too much formality. Drop that. My wife was your godmother, which makes you my family too. Sasuke shrugged. Old habits die hard, he said, taking his fighting stance. Naruto mirrored him. All 3 of the reanimated cage raised an eyebrow at the same stance. And at a stance that they did not recognize. Naruto looked at the Nadaime. And yes, to answer your earlier question, Nadaime-sama, the fox. After your sister-in-law, it was my mother. And now, me. Naruto about that. Nah, Think nothing of it, Oto-san. He's not that bad, he said with a shrug and a grin. What's all that chat over there? Orochimaru called in annoyance, still preoccupied with fighting the Sandaime. Attack. The three Senju moved at once, as if dragged on strings. Naruto, he's controlling us, Minato said in panic. The boys jumped, to avoid the first attack, and the three Hokage turned to face them again. Sasuke glanced at Naruto. Ototo, take Shodaime-sama. I'll deal with your father and Nadaime-sama. Okay. The blonde grinned and both of them leapt at the men. Naruto pressed his lips together, as he deflected the Shodaime's strike. The brown-haired Senju was studying him immensely. Who are you, young one? That chakra. Naruto ducked under the high kick and aimed a punch to the man's face, only for Hashirama to catch it. Name's Senju Uzumaki Naruto. My father's Namikaze Minato, born Senju Minato, ex-Yondaime Hokage and unsuspecting grandson of your brothers. My mother was Uzumaki Kushina, second Jinchuriki of the Fox and great-niece of Uzumaki Mito. Hashirama blinked in shock. Toby had a child, and then a grandson. A wold have never thought. Naruto grinned. Yeah, I surprised Sandaime-sama, too. Why? Hashirama asked, quirking an eyebrow. The blonde smirked, as his chakra flared and he formed a snake seal. Mokuton, Eni no Yokusei. Wood release, root restraints, several thick roots broke from the ground, grabbing for the Shodaime. The founder's brown eyes went wide for Asakond, but he reacted fast. Mokuton, Sashi Toge. Wood release, piercing thorns. The thorns pierced the blonde's roots, stopping their advance. Frowning slightly, Naruto decided to change tactics and attack from the air, using the wood they'd grown, as a starting point. Running up a pair of roots and thorns, he leapt at the older shinobi, but Hashirama was expecting it and prepared a chakra-enhanced punch. Naruto grabbed the offending right fist and tried sweeping the floor from under Hashirama. Hashirama jumped and kicked him back, which caused the blonde to curse. He just barely stopped himself from falling, when the cage was already in front of him, preparing another attack. As Naruto saw the water jutsu speed towards him, he cursed mentally. Uzumaki Hiden, Kongo Fuser. Uzumaki secret tradition, adamantine sealing chains, he thought. Several golden chains appeared, forming a cocoon around his body. When the pressure was gone, he unbound the cocoon and did a few seals. Suten, Suiru. Water release, Water Dragon, a massive yellow-eyed dragon from Hashirama's leftover water and sped towards the oldest Senju. Meanwhile, Sasuke was dealing with the two Hiraishin users of the family. Luckily for him, neither had chosen to use the jutsu and he was careful to keep the two at a certain distance. Applying Theshikizomuir needed physical contact, so taijutsu was out of question. Kami knew both were skilled enough to mark him during a short bout of taijutsu. And if they marked him, he was as good as D, Otsutsuki incarnate or not. Suten, Suiru. Water release, Water Dragon, the Nadaime called, unintentionally mirroring Naruto. Futon, Daytopper. Wind release, Great Breakthrough. Sasuke cursed as the Yondaime's wind enhanced the vicious dragon. Senju Tobirama was a lethal force on his own, if it came to handling his element. The Yondaime adding more force to those attacks didn't help one bit. He flared his chakra and formed a horse. Ninshu, Shiroi Hono, Goku Mekyaku. Ninja Creed, White Flames, Great Fire Annihilation. His fire clashed with the water dragon, causing a great explosion of chakra and wind, leaving traces of mist all around them. His Sharingan spun wildly, as he sought the two. Shiroi Hono, Hono no Hebi. White Flames, Flame Serpent. The flames curled around his body before they shot forwards with a great hiss, resembling snakes. The two Senju just barely dodged. Impressive flames, Sasuke-kun, the Yondaime praised. Never seen anything like it before. Sasuke hummed. Personal invention, he answered, as both cage closed in on him, no doubt, to mark him. Sasuke cursed and covered his skin in a thin layer of chakra like his brother had shown him. Neither used chakra-enhanced strength, like his brother or the Shodai, but they were fast and precise. His Sharingan could follow their moves, but he had no guarantee that his body will be able to keep up. Better safe than sorry. As the two teamed up on him, he cursed again, dodging most of their strikes and deflecting the ones he could. By the Kami, hurry up, Naruto. I won't be able to keep this up forever. Naruto spit out some B. Hashirama was a heavy hitter for sure. This last strike had broken 2 bones and he was lucky the bones hadn't punctured his lung. Kurama was already working on healing it and he added some of his own chakra into the mix. You're impressive for someone so young. Your style is unfamiliar, but I can see the pattern of both mine and the Uzumaki style in it, the Hokage commented, as he darted closer. Naruto looked up, wiping his chin. His right hand was already burning with chakra for the next move. He would just need the Hokage to get closer. Ah, arigato. It's my personal style. Naruto's senses tingled, as he felt the other mold his chakra. Roots broke from the ground, trying to catch him and he cursed himself for giving Hashirama ideas. He formed a wood clone behind the older, which threw thorns at the Senju, as if they were senbon. Hashirama, predictably, sensed the attack and moved to the side. And with a Biju chakra enhanced Shunshin, he landed next to the cage. He grabbed the older and even formed a chain from his hand to sneak it upwards the older's armor. Hashirama leapt back, trying to break free, which caused Naruto to stumble because of the sudden movement. However, the kami smiled down on him, as he still managed to rest his palm on the man's armored abdomen. Keiaku Fuin. Contract seal, the circular pattern spread from his palm onto the red armor and glowed blue for a second. Hashirama froze and then looked down at him. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. So, are you free, Shodime-sama? The Shodai nodded. So it seems. Impressive skills, Naruto-kun. Let's go and help your Uchiha friend. Tobirama's masterful in countering most Uchiha moves. Naruto chuckled as he retracted his chain. And Nisama's smart enough to find a way around most tricks, he said, as they sought the other 3 combatants. Hashirama raised an eyebrow at him and Naruto shrugged. Explain later. Naruto and Ashado clone he'd created, were already preparing 2 other seals to free the other resurrected individuals from the snake's control, when Sasuke cried out. Shinju f damn it, Ototo. Hurry up you clumsy. His curses were short, as he was forced to dodge another wave of water. I'll hold Toby. Get close, the Shodime instructed. Naruto nodded. The moment wood sprang from the ground all around the Suiten master, Naruto charged. Tobirama dodged several of the roots, but while he was occupied, Naruto could get close. Suiten, Suadana. Water release, water severing wave, the Nadaime called. The water sea troughed the wood, like hot knife trough butter and it continued towards him. Naruto did a quick replacement, switching places with a piece of wood and then he was right in front of the silver-haired man. Keiaku Fuin, he murmured, as he s his hand on the man's shoulder. Tobirama grabbed him forcefully, to shove him off and then he stopped in the movement. Naruto looked up, hard violet meeting sharp red. Nadaime-sama. The Nadaime nodded and released him. Arigato. Naruto grinned. Let's catch Oto-san. Sasuke is nowhere near good enough with seals, to use them in combat. However, while in a tight spot, Sasuke had his own tricks. He didn't dabble in Fuinjutsu, but his Sharingan was perfect for controlling things, or in this case, to overpower an already existing control. Now that he could get closer without the water bisecting him, he had better chances. Yet, the Yondaime was no fool and wisely avoided eye contact. Still, as he caught Ajub, he added some chakra to his grip and forced the blonde's hand backwards in an awkward angle and Minato glared at him. Genjutsu, Kamigami no Ishi, illusionary technique, will of the gods. For a moment, he saw his Sharingan reflected in the blue gaze and he saw the chakra strings getting destroyed, which meshed him, before it was gone. You're free now. Act as you would have done in life, in the defense of those you care about. Sasuke thought. As they landed awkwardly, Minato shifted trough the fall, so Sasuke landed with the least possible D. Ni-sama. Oto-san. Sasuke huffed as he stood, pulling the Yondaime with him. Minato smiled at him. Arigato, Sasuke. His lips twitched upwards. Think nothing of it. His eyes shifted to the 3 approaching Senju. We're fine, Ototo. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Thank the Rikudo. So, helping the Sandaime. Sasuke smirked. I wondered when you'll ask. As they turned, all of them froze in shock. For behind the Sandaime appeared the ethereal form of the Shinigami and as the god reached trough the man's body, a familiar whirl-like seal formed. No. The 4 onlookers called, but it was already too late. The technique was cast, they could not interfere. The Shinigami moved swiftly and see off the snake Sannin's arms, which caused the man to cry out in rage and shock. The Sandaime staggered back and fell, his body literally smoking with the energy of the Shinigami. Naruto roared, chakra bursting from his body in a destructive wave, shocking all but Sasuke. First you have the balls to mark my brother and then you K the Hokage. Sasuke saw red, too. They were never overly close to the Hokage, but the man had been supportive enough of both of them, in their childhood, trough his own detached way. Besides, the Sandaime had been Orochimaru's teacher, the bond of teacher and student was sacred. Or at least, should have been. Not to mention the bastard thought he could get away with marking him Otsutsuki Indra, with some unholy seal, just to steal his eyes. His and his brother's hands moved at once. Ninshu, Shiroi Hono, Jigoku Nami. Shinobi Creed, White Flames, Hell, Fire, Wave. Ninshu, Futon, Tengu no Hain. Shinobi Creed, Wind Release, Wings of the Tengu, Naruto announced at the same time. Fire and wind mixed into a torrent of white, blue and green, speeding towards the Sannin. It caught him and he roared in pain. Sasuke couldn't help but feel triumphant. There. That was their revenge for the Sandaime. The next one will be for what the snake summoner dared to attempt with him. They saw the body in a charred and melted pile, only for it to move and crack. Orochimaru shed his skin like the snake he was and most of the damage caused by the joint jutsu was gone. Not completely, and his arms were still missing, but he was alive. A feat no one could have claimed in the past, hit by those moves separately, much less when combined. The snake glared at him, releasing his K intent, and had they been lesser people, Sasuke was sure they would have gotten a heart attack. You'll pay for that, he hissed. Sasuke jumped forward, drawing his tanto to behead the bastard, but despite his injured state, the man was faster. He avoided the strike and kicked him away, before sinking into the ground, effectively escaping. Sasuke flipped in the air and landed awkwardly, skidding backwards. He cursed, sure that the kick had at least bruised his ribs. As he stood, he felt a jolt of pain trough his ankle, too. How the hell had he survived that? Naruto cried outraged. Those techniques are lethal on their own, much less together. It's that skin-shedding technique. The Yondaime spoke and both of them looked at the man. Orochimaru's always been fixated on obtaining immortality. He did human experiments, hence why he's a missing nin now. He hadn't obtained immortality, thank the kami, but that jutsu of his does negate most damage done to his body. He takes other people's bi to slow his aging and to obtain others' keke genkai or their hiden. Oh, so the sick F thinks he's above the humans and can cross the laws of kami, ne. Naruto hissed, his eyes flashing bi red for Asakond, which caused the three resurrected Hokage to tense. Relax Ototo, Sasuke said, as he straightened up with a wince. We have an invasion to deal with and a bid you to seal properly. Invasion? Tobirama and Minato asked at once. Biju, echoed Hashirama, all the gazed wary and worried. Naruto sighed. Explain later. We have a village to save. Minato couldn't help but stare at the two boys, one of them his son. The other his wife's godson, a boy whom he was sure he would have cared for, as he did for Naruto, were he alive. Fugaku and Mikoto had always been close to them and Itachi was like an angel, as a child. Smart and well-mannered, whose love for the family could not be questioned, despite his young age. They'd just done the impossible. Impossible for Genin, that is. Himself and his predecessors had been freed from the control of Orochimaru, who'd resurrected them. The boys had freed them. And they had wounded Orochimaru. True, the Sannin was missing his arms, courtesy of the Sandaime and the Shinigami, but still. They were tired and wounded, because he refused to believe that Naruto was in top shape, Uzumaki Jinchuriki or not, but they were still speaking about going on. Minato gave Sasuke a pointed look. You surely have a few broken bones. My hits are not chakra enhanced, but it's not always needed to break bones. And Orochimaru too. And I refuse to believe Naruto is unscratched, Jinchuriki status and Uzumaki vitality be damned. He then glared sternly at his son. You're not fighting. Naruto chuckled, as he grabbed Sasuke's hand and his chakra flared. You're a few years late to ordering us about, Oto-san. Minato winced. For him, the family was about care and love and compassion. The cold formality was for the Hyugas and occasionally, the Uchihas. Did Naruto hold a grudge for that night, despite his words? Was that why he was being formal? Alright, there was no bite in his tone, but still. His son's chakra flared, creating a visible shroud around his body. Holy. Naruto was half Uzumaki, and he had the fox, but this was abnormal. Kushina's chakra had been powerful too, but not his powerful. It felt powerful, full of life. Old? No, not old. It felt ancient. Next to him, his fellow Hokage also gasped, so he was sure they felt the same thing as him. Then, the blue of his son's chakra was tinted with green, with the bright, fresh green of grass and the deep, sheltering shades of forests. The chakra spread to Sasuke too, and the Uchiha visibly relaxed, inching closer to Naruto. Naruto's next words, soft, like whips of spring wind, would have stopped his heart, if it was still beating. Mokuton, Shizen no Hoyo, Fukugo Iashi. Would release, nature's embrace, combined healing. He could feel as Naruto drew in nature energy, as his chakra blazed. He almost barked at his son, that nature chakra turns one to stone if the body is unused to handling it, but the sudden, unexpected touch stopped him. It was the Shodai. Mokuton grants the user some balance with nature. Even if he hasn't learned any form of senjutsu, he can handle the minimal amount of nature energy, trough utilizing Mokuton. And to me, it seems your son is very much aware of that fact. Minato breathed a sigh of relief. Thank the gods. His eyes landed on the boys again, just as the process was done. Sasuke seemed to be in a bit better shape, although he was still battered. How the hell did Naruto manifest Mokuton? Kushina was a pure Uzumaki. Had he been experimented on, too? You're a genius, Ototo, Sasuke muttered, throwing a grateful look at Naruto. Naruto scratched his cheek in a manner that reminded Minato of himself. Nope, Ni-sama. That was you were called that, not me. I was the clumsy prankster, remember? Who's always been made fun of, like with Kaji and... Sasuke's Sharingan took a sharp turn, as he frowned. And I was clear to him, what I thought about people, who talk down on my family. Minato blinked. Since when were the boys so close, calling each other, brother, not that he minded it. It was nice to know Naruto had someone so close to him. Someone to see as a family when himself and Kushina were not here. But why the heck was he so formal? Hell, he was formal with him, which Minato promised himself he'll deal with before he had to leave this world, but with Sasuke, even more so. And the Uchiha shrugged it off as if it was normal, as if it had always been how Naruto addressed him. Kind of odd. Naruto groaned. All this chakra usage was pushing his limits. He could feel his insides aching. And they still had to deal with the invading forces. He was so going to sleep for a week after this. What the hell? The sudden exclamation of the Shodaime, who, by the way, was his great uncle or what, forced his attention away from planning for the worst case scenario. Naruto staggered from the shock he was feeling from the Shodai. Why is there a redhead bound with Mokuton and Uzumaki chains? Tobirama asked. Oh, yeah, we need to fix his seal. Naruto said with a sheepish chuckle. He holds Ichibi no Shukaku, but sooner or less with Fuinjutsu. The thing barely holds. Can you please help? Sasuke's hopeless, if it comes to complex seals, and it can suppress Shukaku and simultaneously work on the seal, into which he should be transported. The three Hokage shared a look and then they nodded. Let's go, his father said. And once this mess is over, son, mind sharing how the hell you have Mokuton? Naruto chuckled. Of course, I will tell. When they arrived, Gaara looked up. Naruto. Naruto smiled sheepishly and grabbed the redhead. Sorry for leaving you hanging here. Literally. But now we can fix your seal and both you and Shukaku can sleep as well as Akilde, tonight. How does that sound? Gaara's green eyes went wide. I'll be able to sleep. Naruto hummed. Yeah. He gestured at the three Hokage behind him. I'm sure you recognize the three people behind me, don't you? Gaara looked up and his eyes went even wider. How? Naruto hummed. A kinjutsu, which if you ask me, shouldn't even exist. He glared pointedly at the Nadaime. The silver-haired Senju may have been Hokage in his life, but Naruto had been something else, someone equally as respected and much more dangerous. Now, I will release your bonds. Shodaime-sama will be helping me and we'll hold Shukaku. In the meanwhile, he gestured at the two Harasshan users of his family. they will cook up a seal to use. Both of them masters of their art. Oto-san sealed the furball, so no need to worry. Once the seal is done, we'll release you. Then, we'll see what can we do about the mess in the village and maybe you may even get home. Gaara nodded. Okay. Naruto looked at the Shodaime. The moment I break the chains, the hold of my Mokuton will break too, so. The man nodded. Do it, Naruto-kun. Without wasting more time, the blonde grabbed one of the chains wrapped around Gaara, attached to a pole and sent a wave of his chakra into it. The chains shattered into countless tiny parts before disappearing. Then, as he helped Gaara lay down, the Shodai's chakra wrapped around the shrine he made, pressing down on everything. Inside the seal, he could feel Shukaku trashing somewhat, trying to resist, but to no avail. The Shodaime looked up. Done. Best fix the seal now. Gaara's eyes flashed with fear and uncertainty, as his father and great-grandfather approached. Naruto shifted to give the two seal masters more space to work. He took off his utility belt, revealing the sealing equipment the men would need. Both looked at him with a bit of surprise, before they grabbed at the supplies discussing seals in a quiet tone, to disturb the Shodai, the least possible, while he dealt with the upset Shukaku. I don't think this is a good idea. Gaara murmured. Naruto shook his head. Nonsense. Indra promised we'll fix the seal, did he not? He asked in a quiet tone. Gaara hummed. He did. Good. Otsutsuki never go back on their word. We'll fix it up and then, when things get better, you can go about with your life and prove the people around you, that they have nothing to fear from you. It's not going to be easy, far from it, but we'll do our best to help. He grabbed hold of Gaara and wrapped a little chakra around the redhead, to calm him down, careful not to disturb either of his working family members. Kakashi kicked another sound shinobi in the face, sticking the bastard to the nearest building's wall with enough force for the hard material to crack and leave a human-shaped indent. They were winning, which was a good thing. It seemed the sound sand forces were slowly retreating. Yet, it brought him no joy. He had not seen the boys ever since Naruto had given the warning, he hadn't seen Yamato either, and that made him uneasy. They may have been the reincarnated grandsons of Fafraking Chakra Goddess, but Kakashi didn't care. They were his students, his pseudo-little brothers. Team 13 was the oddest family of misfits, and he was worried. They were not where he could see and thus make sure they were safe and happy. And these freaking invaders, who ruined his perfectly sunny day, were keeping him from finding the boys. But no longer. Time to knock things up a notch, and sir, he pushed up his headband, revealing Obito's last gift before his death. The Sharingan. Kankuro cursed colorfully, as he stumbled and fell. Stupid Konoha and its trees. Kankuro. Temari cried. His sister stopped and leapt after him, but he fell. He grunted, as he crashed hard against the forest floor and cursed the entire freaking finals. Nothing had gone the way he'd wanted and not after their plan had been put into motion. Shukaku was nowhere to be seen and they'd fought Konoha shinobi, before they were forced to flee. Gaara was nowhere to be found. I'm fine, Temari, he said with a huff, standing up. Temari gave him a part scratching, part worried look, but before she could speak, they heard the rustle of leaves. Someone was here. They froze and slowly turned around to face whoever had chased after them. It was the Senju Uzumaki spawn. Even from here, Kankuro could feel the blonde's power. The chakra felt something akin to Gaara's, the haunting violet eyes. Kankuro was sure, that color can't be natural narrowed on them. Are you Kankuro and Temari Sabaku? He asked in a cold, warning tone. Something about the Senju's voice made Kankuro very, very uncomfortable. Why yes, Temari answered, trying to cover her wavering tone with a scorching glare. Come with me. If you resist, you shall never see your brother again. Kankuro swallowed hard and shared an unsure look with his sister. They were in deep hours. It had taken hours to get rid of every last lingering enemy shinobi, however their presence, Minato decided, was like a double-edged blade. Seeing him and the Senju brothers side by side had boosted Konoha morale and had also greatly disheartened the enemy. But then again, both the Nadaimon himself were S-rank, flea-on-sight shinobi. The Shodaime himself was a completely different level and Minato admitted, that when the founder had released his chakra he had needed a moment to get his bearings. The chakra was hauntingly similar to Naruto's, yet Naruto's felt not as powerful, probably because he was still growing and maturing, a sort of Underton, which Minato could not identify. And now, with every last ones of their enemy gone, the council had gathered and he stood in the middle of the room, along with his fellow Hokage, and the people were staring at him, as if they were ghosts. Yes, they were technically D, but not ghosts, so he absolutely could not understand the reactions. And the fact that he dumped on the council that the Sandaime was D didn't help much either. And what of soon is Jinchuriki? Asked Koharu, her tone hard and suspicious. No need to be so Koharu, the Nadaime warned, his tone scolding. Young Naruto and my brother have contained the Ichibi, while myself and Namikaze-san had fixed the poor boy's seal. Naruto, containing a biju. Minato turned at that voice. It was one he was familiar with. As a child, he had been on the same team as Hisashi, but he was also relatively close to the Hyuga head. Yes, Naruto is in possession of the Mokuton, which he demonstrated, while helping Sarutobi-sama. Him and Sasuke had joined, to stall us, while Sabutobi-sama dealt with Orochimaru. It was Naruto's quick thinking and some of his fuinjutsu, which allowed the three of us to join Konoha's side. The council room was deathly quiet. And where is soon as Jinchuriki now? Asked Homura. Gaara is currently with Ototo, trying to deal with the stress of a nearly broken seal and a ceiling, a new, younger voice called. Several eyes turned towards the door, where a tired and battered Uchiha Sasuke stood. Still, despite the state he was in and no doubt, despite the injuries he'd sustained, his almost son, could he call Sasuke that? Was strangely regal. He had not a drop of Fugaku's distant coldness and every bit of Mikoto's deadly gracefulness. Regality and power shrouded him, a kind which Minato had never encountered before. Genin have no place in the council. Tsume pointed out sharply. Sasuke matched her gaze without a twitch. Try matching me in speed, Tsume. Minato challenged. He noticed how the Uchiha seat was empty. Where was Fugaku? Or Mikoto? The Inuzaka matriarch looked at him in surprise. Because Sasuke here did just that. Stalled me and Nadaime-sama, while Naruto was fighting Shodaime-sama. I think that gives him some leeway about age, or current lack of promotion. The people present looked at Sasuke with wide eyes and he heard some whispers if prodigal from the civilian side. Sasuke scowled. And you almost blinded me once, and had it not been for Naruto and Shodaime-sama interfering, I'm sure I would have lost my head to that freaking Suten jutsu. And you two totally broke at least 4 bones, which is goddamn painful by the way, and I really should be with Naruto, so he could fix me up, but, he sighed, Gaara's seal needs some checking and Ototo's totally spent too. I'm sure that it's just Biju chakra and stubbornness keeps him awake. He wants to speak with you, by the way. Biju chakra? Minato asked, eyes narrowing. Sasuke waved. Relax. He can handle about, say, 4 taels worth of it. 5 at worst and his seal would remain completely stable. Right now, well, at least when I left him and Gaara alone, he was poking into 1 tael. You're awfully precise with the counting. The Nadaime spoke. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Could you please try not kill me with a glare, Nadaime-sama? I know you don't have fond memories of my kin, but I am not like them, and Naruto's my brother by now. No secrets. Besides, I helped him when he reassigned Hisaki Fujin. Jiraiya of the Sannin and later the Sandaime too, checked the seal he had made and they deemed it completely fail-safe. Minato choked in shock, eyes widening. Naruto did what? Sasuke shrugged. Don't get me wrong, you and your wife did a good job, but the seal kept messing up his chakra control. It annoyed the hell out of him and he kept whining. So I tossed up the idea of changing the seal and it worked. You know, he may be my brother, but his whining is really annoying, especially about chakra control. And medical jutsu. Naruto had changed the seal just like that, because it messed up his chakra. He weren't Edo Tensei, Minato would have fainted. Luckily, the Senju brothers seemed as gobsmacked, as Minato felt. So they agreed with him. Aging and changing about an S-rank seal, labeled Kinjutsu even by the Uzumaki, was not normal. Good, at least he was not losing his mind in death. So, it's kind of important. Sasuke said slowly, concealing his pain masterfully, for someone so young. Could you 3 please come? Kami knows I'm not in a good mood and Naruto even less. We don't need him blowing up the Hokage monument with the fox's chakra. Minato couldn't help but groan. This is your fault, Kushina. He's got all that temper and pulling out the impossible from you and your Uzumaki ancestors. Hashirama studied the young Uchiha, as he led them off the village, towards the mountain. Sasuke was, in certain ways, like Madara. He surely had a striking resemblance to Izuna. So much, that it was almost frightening. Yet, the genin wasn't like Madara at all. His chakra was warm and prickling, natures of lightning and fire mixing, unlike Madara's fire and wind. And it was a lot calmer, holding none of the raging grief Madara's had, after Izuna's loss. There was some grief, anger and confusion there, but only a silver. So little, that Hashirama could just barely feel it. Mito had always been better at detecting emotions, than him. Most of the boy's chakra was calm, controlled chaos. Sheer power of Ak and Akiled his age should not possess. Of course, his chakra levels were low, but the feeling of power remained lingering. He was composed, much more, than any other young lad his age. It was as if he was mentally older, than physically. That thought weighted him down. They'd founded Konoha, so children would not have to grow up before their time, yet. As they reached the stairs, Sasuke stopped and leaned against the wall to catch his breath. The medic in Hashirama panicked. You should visit the hospital. Sasuke's gaze found him fast, and in a second he was faced with a piercing Sharingan glare. And Hashirama, the power lurking behind those eyes, so much like Madara's, still nothing like his rivals. An odd, inexplainable combination. Only one I trust with handling my injuries is Naruto. Luckily for me, thanks to his Senju Uzumaki vitality and the fox, he's much faster at healing. He should be back to normal in 2 days. My injuries can wait till then. Hashirama frowned disapprovingly. Such injuries should be immediately treated, but the Uchiha masterfully ignored it and started the trek up the stairs. He sighed softly and glanced at his fellow Kage. Toby just rolled his eyes and Minato looked apologetic on his almost son's behalf. It was odd to think that an Uzumaki would be an Uchiha's godmother, but, at least his and Madara's efforts at creating peace hadn't been completely pointless. After a few minutes, they arrived. The Suna Jinchuriki Gaara, if he remembered correctly, was sleeping a few feet away, cradled like Akiled in sand and wood. Both of which had faint traces of chakra, the sand having the redhead's and someone else's signature, while the wood carried Naruto's. Naruto smiled, his face strained and tired as he looked at them. Nice to know you all made it. Sasuke glanced at Gaara. How's Gaara? And Shukaku? Hashirama blinked. Why would the Uchiha inquire after the well-being of a Biju? Both of them sleeping like babies, as you can see for yourself, Nisama. Shukaku made a fuss because of him. Naruto made a pointed gesture at him and Hashirama tried not to take offense, but it's fine now. My clone caught up with Gaara's siblings and they'd been brought back. Right now they're being handled by T. But they may be able to return to Rasa, once this mess is over. Minato said. Or to their village, that is, he said in a quieter tone. If Orochimaru impersonated Rasa, which seems to be the case, he might be D. Both of the boys winced a bit, before Sasuke sat and gestured for them to do the same. I bet you have a mountain's worth of questions, the young Jinchuriki said softly. Well, yes, Minato said. Like, how do you behave, Mokuton? Hashirama blinked. That was something he was curious about, too. So far, only he had ever possessed the ability in his clan. I have Senju genes, but that is only half truth, I suppose. Naruto said calmly. Senju. Naru-chan, your mother was a royal Uzumaki. The Heiress of Uzu, no less. Minato said, disbelief coloring his tone. Well, at least, that explained the blonde's use of those chains. We know. Naruto said, his lips curling upward into a foxy grin. It's you, who has the Senju B, Oto-san. Namely, from the test that had been ran after my Mokuton awakened, it was found that your mother was one Senju Minami. Senju Minami, who was the sole daughter of one Senju Tobirama. Toby had a daughter. Toby had been with a woman. Toby had married. Hashirama choked. Minato's eyes went very, very wide, as Naruto said, that he had the Senju B. Son of Senju Minami and grandson of Senju II, by Ma. His mind came to screeching halt and he slowly looked at the silver-haired Kage on his left. The Kage, whose Harasshan he had recreated. Grandson of Senju Tobirama. Minato looked back at Naruto, whose face was utter calmness. His little whirlpool prince blamed Kushina for that nickname, but then again, Naruto old have been a prince in everything but la, if only Azu still stood, was speaking about this, as if he were commenting on the weather. He couldn't help it. He gaped. Tobirama's mind froze at the his sweet, yet wild daughter had survived, lived a life long enough to have a son of her own. His line continued. His bee lived on. And his grandson had become the Yondaime Hokage, with an S rank. He had asked Koharu in passing with what had Minato earned the hat. Koharu's short explanation had left him suitably impressed. And this self-sacrificing genius, who'd recreated Hishirashin from scratch, was his own grandson. A grandson he was very, very proud of, and he was sure his daughter would be as well, were she alive to see him. On the top of it all, his half-Uzumaki great-grandson had carried the Mokuton. Tobirama couldn't help the prankster grin that stretched across his face, as he looked at his older brother. Hashirama soured him. "You owe me one, Anarchy," he said. Hashirama's sulky face was the almost best part of his day. The various expressions and emotions that went through his family's faces and the ones he could feel from them were almost eon, not even he was, nor had been, this expressive. No, he refused to believe he had been like that. Still, as he looked at Sasuke, his brother's face said something completely different. As the gazes met, he knew it. "You can't even deny that your deep black eyes seemed to say," and Naruto huffed, scowling Abbott. The amusement, which flashed off Sasuke's annoyingly regal, "Damn the two good genes" features only made him even sulkier. After a few more moments of total disbelief, all three former Hokage calmed down somewhat, the gazes settling on him and Sasuke once more. "Any more shocking revelations, boys?" his father asked, as he rubbed his face. Sasuke cracked a grin. "But, we're just getting started," he said. Naruto almost rolled his eyes at the glee rolling off of his brother. "What else do you have to say, young Uchiha?" the Shodaime asked, his brown gaze settling on Sasuke. Sasuke hummed. "I bet you all heard about the Rikudo Sennin and how he brought peace and shared chakra with the world." When the three nodded, Sasuke continued. "I assume you are also aware of stories that state that the Senju, Uzumaki and Uchiha are all the Sennin's descendants." "Yes," his great-grandfather said, quirking an eyebrow at Sasuke. "But what does that have to do with anything?" Naruto couldn't help the snicker that escaped him. His father's disapproving look reminded him of another life, when another man, with ringed purple eyes glared at him, when he did something inappropriate. The thought made him hold back the laughter very fast. The anger of Senju Namikaze Minato he could stand, but thinking about the disapproval of a certain Sennin was a completely different matter altogether. After peace was established and the teachings of Ninshu created, the Sennin had two sons of his B. Naruto said, trying to banish his previous thoughts. The older inherited his yin chakra and eyes, thus the Sharingan was born. The younger inherited his yang chakra and body, the strong chakra and vitality. A carefree perfect childhood, loving father and brother. Rarely, nothing missing, save for the fact that aforementioned older son, Indra, was a prodigy even by the high standards of the Otsutsuki clan and the Sennin. He sallowed, the old memories still burning with phantom pain, despite all that had happened between Thinen no, the younger, Ashura, was a prankster, no good. But a hard worker. Sasuke suddenly see him off, his gaze searing, even with his Sharingan being dormant, Indra was the responsible one. Whose greatest treasure was family, his younger brother, in fact. But despite that, he was a loner, who spent his time honing his skills in Ninshu. He was always too busy trying to be the perfect son, to actually stop and think about the meaning of those teachings. Nearing the end of his life, the Sennin had set a task for his sons to complete. Indra had made it back first, but he had left and arrived alone. Ashura brought followers, friends, whom he taught how to handle their problems by themselves, yet together. Answer, seeing the results, the Sennin had named Ashura his heir, despite being younger. Naruto's breath hitched and he continued. Indra had retreated on his own and grew more distant. Jealousy and anger drove a wedge between the brothers. That anger and jealousy had turned to hate, which then consumed Indra. The brothers fought. Sasuke whispered, one with the intent to kill, the other with the intent to reunite the fractured family. As time passed, both of their prowess grew. Indra gained a higher level of the Sharingan, unlocking powers not seen before, while Ashura gained ability to get in tune with nature and thus, unlocked Mokuton. It also allowed him to harness Senjutsu more easily. Indra fought on his own and Ashura fought side by side with their oldest siblings, the 9 Biju. The more time passed, the more skeptical the Biju grew, that Indra would return to them. Eventually, both settled and had their own families. But they fell at each other's hand on the battlefield. Sons and daughters swore vengeance for their fallen fathers. Then fallen brothers, children, parents, a vicious, never-ending cycle. Sasuke took a deep breath. Indra's descendants became the Uchiha, wielding his eyes, altar nowhere near as powerful as his. Asura's descendants became the Senju and later, trough-distant relation, the Uzumaki clan. But it was not over. Naruto said softly. The chakra of Otsutsuki was something else, and both sons clung to their belief strongly. So strongly in fact, that they defied the laws of Kami, just to prove their point. So as time went by, they were reborn again and again within their own families, fueling the Bee War, which by the time, had lost its meaning. With each reincarnation, they grew stronger and more aware. Sasuke sighed, but something happened. The one, who had manipulated Indra so long ago, the one who had played with his feelings of anger and betrayal masterfully enough to turn him against the person he treasured the most. He took a deep breath. He was not of this world, not a human. So he lived, drifting trough time and waited and watched as the sun's transmigrants tried gouging each other's eyes out. He watched the latest fight between the transmigrants and after Asura's transmigrant won, this evil helped him recuperate from that fight, for Indra's incarnate, even without manipulation, clung to his beliefs too strongly, to simply d. This shade convinced the most recent incarnate of Indra of something horrible. It made the man believe that those plans, set to destroy the world, were not destruction, but the only way to attain peace. And so, the Kyuubi's attack happened 12 years ago, orchestrated by the man, that old Uchiha, who had once held Indra's chakra. That Uchiha deceived another. It was that younger, unknown Uchiha, who boldly claimed to be Madara, who had set the Kyuubi free. But the cycle continues, yet it is also broken. Sasuke said, for the selfless sacrifice of loving parents, had saved Akild. The child with the bee of Uzumaki and Senju in his veins. Akild, who was as much the boy his mother birthed, the last of the clan's main family, as much he was the very first. There was a moment of silence and their eyes met. As much Asura, as much Naruto. Sasuke murmured. And as much Indra, as much Sasuke. Naruto replied. They both sighed, tired and their emotions turbulent. The memories, despite them having made peace long ago, were still painful. After a moment of silence, both looked up at the 3 Hokage, who were sitting there motionless. And as the words made sense, all their eyes went wide, shock and disbelief written across their visage. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.